everybody. I want to welcome you to Best Whole New World page, and we're broadcasting today with Ray Lushkin, and we're talking about the healed heart, and a capital A-R-T on art, because it's through art that Ray healed her heart, and she's going to share all her beautiful wisdom and creativity with us so we can be touched, moved, and inspired to take it to new realms of healing. So welcome, Ray.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I felt like we just opened up a beautiful conversation the last time, and the possibilities are endless for us to work together to create a larger community and spread the ripple of hope, using art as a healing tool. And I'm just so excited to be here. So thank you for hosting again.
Well, I'm so excited that you're willing to share what you've been through and what has worked for you, and to inspire others to heal their hearts. So this is just a win-win all around.
Thank you. Thank you. So, we only have a half hour today. So I just wanted to give people some tools that they can actually use, because then we have a month, before we meet again. And I want people to have something that immediate impact that they can use at any point. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, I always start with a ritual. Do you have any rituals that you use in your life?
Well, so I've done many different rituals, and I think what I generally do now is, as soon as my feet hit the floor in the morning, so when I swing them off the side of the bed, I just open up and just say how grateful I am that there's a new day, and I want to be used for my highest and best good, and to participate in however it needs to happen in this great master production, and just feel that essence of presence, and then I'm ready to start the day.
Oh, I love that. Well, I have part of that. When I get up in the morning, I listen to two different meditation tapes, and one of them is about being safe and feeling protected and supported, and that I know that I have, God around me, angels rings wrapping me in love, so that wherever I go on my path during that day, I can be the best I can be. So that's one of them, and I've sort of played with it over the years. And the other one is about gratitude and the blessings that are already existing in my life, because I can always bring more blessings by actually focusing on what I already have. And so, what makes me happy? What brings me pleasure? What brings me satisfaction? Who makes me feel loved? And, right now I'm just getting chills because I think about my little granddaughter who I ended up babysitting last night. She saw me and she just ran and jumped, right into my arms. And there is nothing better. To me, that is everything. And so it's when I focus on that. So that was like, oh yeah, that's joy everywhere for me. So yeah, so there are different rituals I do. And as we start this journey together using art, I'd like to start and tell people a little bit the ritual I started before I actually got on the call with you. I lit a candle. I sat down and prayed to be of the highest service, to get out of myself, and how can I have the greatest impact on people. And I always have some touchstones with me. I have a little Buddha. I have a shell, which is natural. I have this little key that says dreams. I don't know if you can see it. And a little elephant, which that's one of my totems that, I don't know, I never say it quite right. And it's this idea, the elephant itself is a corporal body, but the head of an elephant. But it's all about renewal and restoration, so new beginnings. So I always carry those with me, and I sort of put that there. And then I also, which I brought with me, where to go? Hold on. Okay, well, best laid plans. I must have left it. I always have a bell or a gong that I ring to bring forward the sound. I guess I left it in the other room. So as I was moving things around. So that's part of how I start and to get centered. And I believe that today I'd love to just get us centered. So if we can all just close our eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, and let it go. Just notice what you're noticing. How does the air moving in your nostrils feel? Is it cool? Is it warm? As you let it go down your throat, just notice what you're noticing. And pay attention to the rise and fall. You don't have to change anything about your breath. Just notice what you're noticing. And what I'd love you to do is just sort of move your head from side to side, up and down, maybe in a circle. We're going to be centered in our body and our body's wisdom. And it is a temple. It is our conduit to the infinite intelligence. So just notice again what you're feeling. If you can, just sort of, if you want, you can take your glasses off. And oftentimes I rub my hands together and then I cup my eyes and I feel the heat just emanating and going into my eyes. Again, it brings me to where I am, to this moment, to peace, to love, to joy, to safety. Now imagine you are surrounded by this beautiful white light. And angel wings are wrapping you in divine protection. You know you're supported, you're safe. Everything in your life is divinely ordered. And for today, you know that you are in love, you are in a state of peace, joy, balance. You just feel it and let it flow down into your body. Imagine this beautiful white light inside every single cell of your body, saying safe, peace, love, joy. Over and over. You have trillions of cells, and each one is now radiating with this beautiful, healing, white light. You know you are safe. You are in a place of love and joy and peace, and you are being supported and loved every moment of the day. And now I want you to imagine you bring that white light up to the top of your head, down to the tip of your toes, and just let it run every single cell until you can feel the vibration in your body. You're tingling, your fingers tingle, and you know you are safe and protected. This is your moment. This is your time to just be with you. This is your opportunity to heal what needs to be healed. And so it is. And when you're ready, open your eyes. I'm putting my glasses back on. How are you feeling?
That was thank you.
Thank you. You know, I just let spirit lead me. I had one other thing I was going to say, and then I was going to do this prayer of protection, and then okay, just let spirit lead, just like you say, and go where it has to go. So,
and I was just going to say, when you mentioned about your granddaughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the essence from me, is like that childlike quality that we're coming back into being. So we're unlearning so we can be present to what the child already feels. Like I was just saying to someone the other day, it's like your granddaughter wakes up or a little kid wakes up and they are able to be present and full of possibility without having to start their yoga routine, right? We were talking about yoga, right?
They have just joy and wonder and awe. Everything is like new. Why? Oh, look, and it's like, that's what I want for all of us, because when we come from that place, our lives change. So,
and I think that with the art and the creativity, that's like bringing that inner child out again of that sense of play and fun. So I'm looking so forward to this.
Okay, so, there are all kinds of journals that you can have. You can have something like this, a littler one like this, or I just got one like this to start our journey together. Now, I have many, many journals, and this one is like a much larger one, but that was from like 2010. But I saved these, I saved a lot of my art journals and stuff. And so I think what I'd like to do is start now. We're going to skip the first page because a lot of people freak out the first page, and like, oh, I can't put a mark on there. It makes it dirty. It can't anything. So we're going to shift over to another page inside your book. Okay.
Okay.
And one of the things I do want to do first is give us a little bit of time to give ourselves a permission slip. Remember when you're in school and you had to go to the, the bathroom, or you had to do something, or you had to be left out, you had to have a permission slip. Yes. Somebody had to sign it. And yes. I think when I use the word art and creativity, there's a lot of shame. That's the word I'm going to use, because Brene Brown did research on that, and she said 85% of people have experienced some kind of creativity shame over the years with school. That's not good enough. Don't draw, you can't, cows aren't purple. Don't draw outside the lines, whatever it is. So we're going to just give ourselves time to create a permission slip.
Okay.
Any way you want, whether it's not on the first page. So here I have one kind. I use watercolors, I've used markers, and they can be individual. And it could say, I give myself permission to play, to explore. I give myself permission to have fun. Give myself permission to heal. Whatever it is. And I want you to just take a moment, and you can use that. Or here I wrote a whole list with crayons on this page, a different one, just to give you an idea of what you can do. And then I added some stickers, so that's all you can do later. That say, good job, awesome, success. So everybody, if you spend just a couple minutes writing, what are you willing to give yourself permission to do today? I give myself permission to love openly. I give myself permission to be me, to be authentic, to find that joyful state. I give myself permission. We don't give ourselves permission, and until we do, nothing can change. So that's what we're going to do.
So I've given myself permission to play.
Yay! I love that. And, and this is something you can do as you go through. You've already been on a long healing journey. So a lot of the things that, I may be talking about, you've experienced, transformed already. So this is, depending where you're on the journey, that may be the only thing you have to do. Other people, maybe I have to give myself to just, not without judgment, to, and not worry about failure or that I'm not enough, give myself permission to explore these possibilities.
Permission to heal, right? Even that you are allowed to heal, or you're allowed to forgive. Like I remember, sleeping with the butcher knife under my pillow and the phone ready to call 911, and the door on my 10th floor condo locked, and my security, gated in the community, and still feeling like I was going to be terrorized, right? So the permission to just say, you know what, this can change. I don't know how, but this can change. This can heal.
Right. Exactly. I think that was perfect, because if you're on a healing journey, whatever your wound is, if you permission to open your heart to another human being, if you've closed it off, permission to grieve. How often do we hold in grief? And permission to be afraid. It's okay to be afraid and acknowledge it, because how many of us spend our time eating it away? There's addictions, there's exercise, there's overwork, there's, sex, gambling, drugs, all these things we use not to feel. And I think permission to feel is huge. And so,
I just want to say, when you talked about food, for those that feel like they're wearing their addiction, that's all you're doing, is you're wearing your addiction, where everybody else can tend to hide it. Maybe not an alcoholic so much, but lots of people can hide their addictions, but people that have a food addiction are wearing it. And it's just, so my heart goes out to you. Just give yourself permission that it's okay, that you can heal.
Right. And so the next page that I want to do is we're going to scribble, because here we're giving ourselves permission to feel. Just feel whatever we want. I've got got markers, I bring everything. So it just depends what you're in the mood for at that moment. And so I want you, now we're going to do as non-dominant hands. So I want you to everybody take out 2 colors that are your favorite in whatever modality. If you pick color pencils, if you pick crayons or markers. Crayons really are the one thing, though, that will take you back to childhood, to wonder and joy, if you feel safe and comfortable, because we all had crayons, you know. So if you can use a crayon, fine. If you don't, that's okay too, but just an idea. And what I want you to do is pick up one of your crayons in your non-dominant hand, okay. Close your eyes, and you're going to scribble. Just scribble. Don't think about it. Now, you can't judge yourself. It's scribbling, and you can't see it, and you're using your non-dominant hand. So just scribble, you know, whatever movement. If you want to shake your head and do it, if you want to, you know, whatever you're feeling at that moment. This is your gift to yourself, because we all have those moments in life. We may be angry, we may be sad, we may not, you know, whatever. Okay, and are you feeling complete with that? So now put down that crayon, pick up a second color, and you're going to do exactly the same thing with your non-dominant hand. Okay. And you're going to close your eyes, and you're going to scribble. That's great. If you're feeling complete, you can put it down. Now, just
I noticed, and I don't know if this is usual. I noticed that the first one I had more intensity of scribbling. Right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to more scribbles, but the next one it seemed like I had less intensity. I wanted to be lighter with that color.
Well, oh my God, that is so perfect, because that's what happens when you scribble. You have all these emotions. They're there. They're right at the surface, and it's a way of releasing them. So you release the intensity of whatever you were feeling at that moment, and then you can go into the more subtle aspects of what you're feeling and take a little bit more time, and the lyrical part of you that wants to come out, and the gentler part, because we're all in layers. Everything that we have experienced is in layers, you know, sometimes, you know, like the onion. And so when you're scribbling, that's exactly what happens. And the longer you do it, we're not doing it as long as I would suggest, you know, because of time, but you can take this exercise and, you know, spend 10 minutes just scribbling. And then I suggest, and we're going to spend a few minutes now coloring. So now you can pick any color you want and color on top of your scribble in your cut scribble.
Now, does it have a relevance, or will we talk about that some about the colors that we actually choose? Because I seem to be drawn to yellow today in a big way.
Well, there is a whole color theory, and you know, think about it. It could be mellow yellow, or you know, or you think about people paint their kitchens yellow. You don't see yellow restaurants though. You know, they use red because that stimulates the appetite. Rooms that are calmer are the, you know, the light blues and the greens, things like that. So there is a whole color theory. And, you know, that's something I could put together and we could send out to people on, you know, when they join our Facebook group, and we can share some of those. Because you got to remember, too, it's a cultural thing, where you are in the world. You know, we wear black for funerals, but people in the East do not wear black for funerals, you know. So everybody's got different cultural norms as well. But there is theory behind the colors that we choose. And then there's also chakras. You know, are you familiar with chakras? So, you know, they're energy centers that are in our bodies, and each one is associated with a color. You know, so again, there's lots of layers to color. And so what I'm going to suggest is, you know, what we do is we're going to just color for a few minutes, and just color anything you want, and just start coloring. This is on, you know, I've never done this. What?
The non-dominant hand still?
No, this time you can look, and you're just coloring. So this is getting into that other pace, you know, in a different state, because now you can use your regular hand, you know, and what's comfortable. So this is interesting for me to translate this via online versus doing it in person. Because usually like, I have a big whiteboard and I'm doing it right then and there with you, and it's sort of like I'm not quite sure how this is going to translate, so we'll have to play. But thank you for all your help and input on this. So,
well, you know, one of the things that I realized as soon as I said about yellow is every house that I ever wanted to sell, I painted the front door yellow. I did feng shui. Anyways, I painted it yellow and it was gone within 2 weeks.
Yeah, you know, same thing. I've done feng shui too, and you know, and the mirrors are hung in a certain place, and I've got things that block the water because I'm on a pond, you know, so I get it, you know, and it's crystals. But, you know, there's so many ways. Oh,
yeah.
You know, and when we color and scribble, and I was trying to find one of my other scribbles to show you. So, you know,
it's like your own
started. This is one of my. Yeah, it is. Here's one of mine. Just, you know, this is what I ended up with, you know. So you just never know what that moment. And it was interesting. So, okay, I'm just going to have you keep scribbling, you know, for the moment, or coloring or whatever, and see if there are any images that emerged, you know, for you, and shift your paper around so you can turn it around and look at it from a different angle.
Oh.
Now, I've used different materials, too, for scribbles. I did scribbling with watercolors, so you can do that, too. If it's not crayons, you can use watercolors. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do different things. Got to find out what works for you.
This is very cool. Because
but what I love about is something you can do. I've done this with many clients over the years. Is I ask you to keep a scribble diary. So every day you scribble, and then you can. What we'll do is then you just see where you are, because every day it can be different. Now you can use scribbles in many ways. So you can do it just like that, where it's just, where am I today? You scribble it. It's a way of releasing it. You have to come up with a title at the end so that you have a title for it. But what I've also done is it's a great activity to do with families, that you get a whiteboard and everybody scribbles their day on it. And then you sort of guess, well, how was your day? And it gets a conversation going. And you can create a family, you know, dialogue. You can come up with the title together. And so it's another way of connecting in a deep, profound way that's face-to-face, and you're talking about your feelings, because all scribbles are is a release of your feelings.
That's awesome. A family scribble board. Not a scribble board, a scribble board.
Exactly.
Oh, it's so therapeutic. That's awesome.
Oh, good. I'm glad you like that. And the other thing you can do is you can give yourself prompts. So when I'm feeling angry, I feel, and then scribble it. When I'm feeling mellow, what is it? You know, when pigs could fly, and then you just give yourself a statement and you just start scribbling, whatever that is. So, you know, for you, and there's so many ways you can use scribbles. And again, you don't have to be a fine artist to scribble. Anybody can scribble.
Right, and your scribble might become fine art.
I have to tell you, almost every piece I do when I draw or paint, it starts with a scribble. No matter what I do, because that's how you know, so many people are afraid to put that first mark on the page. And so I always start with a scribble. I do it fairly lightly, and then I move on from there. I'm going to just get 1 second. You continue to scribble for a minute. I'm going to show you a piece I'm working on right now that began with a scribble.
Okay. Well, and actually, while you're doing that, I'll just say that when my youngest, last summer, so a year ago, she started a painting, and she took pictures along the way because she painted it sort of all summer. And she would paint and she'd like, no, I don't like that anymore. And from where she started to what she ended and all the way in between, it just was never the same, right?
Right. And this piece, which I'm working on now, is called Phoenix Rising. I don't know if you can see it real well. But it all began with scribbles, and I didn't know where it was going to come from. And I just it just evolved, and all of a sudden there were wings. And again, you know, I've been into this angel imagery, so it just started. So I have fun with that. So I would love for everybody in the next month to see how many ways you can use scribbles. You know, you can do this as a way to have a dialogue with someone as well. This is a really good, if you have a partner and you can't seem to quite have the words, you can scribble. Just scribble how you're feeling, and then have them scribble over it, and then scribble again. And all of a sudden, you know, you're having a dialogue, even though it's a nonverbal one. And then you can ask, well, how was that for you? What was that process like? How do you feel when you look at this? What do you see? What do you feel? You know, and all of a sudden, you got a new way to have a conversation.
Well, that's really excellent, because if you think about it, so many couples are in nonverbal conversations anyways, because they're listening from their past situation. So they're really not being present to what the person's saying anyways. So if you're actually scribbling what you're feeling, you're releasing, probably you're seeing what they're doing, and then you're getting to that space of being present without having to say, let's sit down and meditate.
Right. Together. And you know, if you're angry and you just like doing these really strong black marks, and then they're going with red, and then again, like you notice after you release that, the second one was a lot easier. There was something else that was underneath that. Yeah. And that's usually, underneath the anger is fear. How am I going to be hurt? Vulnerability, shame, guilt, all those emotions are underneath so much of that anger, because we're afraid to be vulnerable. We're afraid to share. So this is one of those, another way to actually use scribbles that's very powerful in creating ongoing communication. And especially in those difficult times when you just, you look at the person and you just want to scream, but you just, and that's not real productive. So you say, come on, let's just go to our board. Let's sit down, let's scribble. Let's see where we can go with this.
That is awesome. There is like 3 people that come to my mind right now that I am going to share this with that could probably alleviate where they're stopped at the moment. It'll just help them start to release and then get a little bit more present to what they're really feeling. So that's
right. And it is something that, again, you can do this almost anywhere. That's the other thing. You've got the crayons, you got markers, even if you just did it with a pen or pencil. And, it's just another way of communicating. And I love that. And you know what? I'm going to hold off on the other exercise. I think we've covered a lot of ground with this. But I would love everybody, when you do something, come up with a title. Date your piece and title it. I think that's really important. It gives you a record of where you've been. So if you don't do it consistently, you can go back. Like my going back to 2010. And I'm like, we've talked about art as a healing tool. And then I was noticing, I had art then as a healing tool. The same thing, A, awareness, R, reframe, T, transform. So, I used it many times over the years, and it really is my platform, my, what is it called? Signature talk or whatever it is. But, yeah. And so it's important to date these things. Now, I don't keep all my journals forever anymore. I used to, and now it's like, I got to make room for new. But there is a certain cutoff on certain things I'll just release. But it's sort of fun, especially when they're a visual journal like this. It really shows where you come and how you're, where things are and stuff like that. And this way, too, you can sort of see if there's anything that's secular. Yeah. And so if you seem to every week when you're meeting with so-and-so, you just have this rage, then, that's not good. What am I going to do? It's another way of noticing what you're noticing. Especially, there may be days you're like, I just don't know how I feel. When you sit down with that box of crayons, it will tell you how you feel.
So then I would suggest to everybody that's watching this, it's the first time you've ever come across it, is that you want to go get yourself a large journal, a large scrapbook, whatever you want to call it, full of paper and crayons ASAP. Priority number 1, because in 28 days, we're going to get more in depth, but you have 28 days practically that you could title something every day, right? And just start releasing the scribbles. Whatever is coming that day, just see how that feels. And then we have a space to dialogue and be in more resonance with what Ray is really going to allow us to let go and flourish and blossom.
Right. We're going to dig a little bit deeper each time into different, we are going to, you were talking about forgiveness. We're going to dive into it with art, and forgiveness and some other things and things that I found over the years that helped me, to go through this journey. We're going to tap into our courage because we need courage to go forward. If we're dealing with any kind of wounds, and everybody has them, everybody has a story. And how are we going to change that? But we have to tap into our courage. And so we will be doing that as we go along. But this is a tool that we both felt that would be really helpful for you in the next 28-day journey and until we meet again. And feel free to contact me or Jacqueline at any point if you need, and if you find you are really in pain, find a therapist or some professional to help you if this is bringing up anything that maybe you've never dealt with. Neither one of us are professional therapists. We are just using the tools that we both helped us over the years to heal. So that would be my final thought on that.
That's a very good point. And and we will come up with a link, for people to connect through a Facebook group, so you can post some of your scribbles if you want to share, in that respect.
And if you have any questions, we can answer them as we go along the best we can.
Just PM us or comment below, and we'll keep the conversation going.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. This is awesome. I'm looking forward to lots of scribbles.
All right. Sounds good. Bye.
Bye.